talk to me about, I'll get to that in a second. It's interesting that you say right off the bat that your priority is the department. You still feel a lot of loyalty to those officers in that department.
Yeah, it's not their fault. They're good people. We have tremendously good people that work at the Warner Robins Police Department, and the reason I've done everything that I've done for 32 years, especially in the 15 years of being chief, is because of the men and women that work there. Everything we've done to create that environment, to make it a family, to make it interactive with their spouses and to bring their kids and their families in with programs. Every bit of that is because of a vision that I saw when I became chief and making a change in the culture. Law enforcement in and of itself has always had a negative culture. You hear about divorce rates and alcohol use and different problems like that, and those are still very true. Nationally, those are very, very true. The divorce rates are nearly twice as high in law enforcement as they are for other things in the public sector. And I wanted to change that. I wanted to change that environment. And you can't change that without having a buy-in from the spouse. You can't change that without it being a family environment where you feel confident to bring your family into it.
Well, that segues well into something I wanted to ask you, and we'll get into how it all ended a little later, but I want to ask you now, when you look back on those 32 years of service, what stands out as something you're proud of? What do you think is the legacy that you leave behind?
I think the legacy that we leave behind, if you're going to speak to me personally, the legacy is the amount of professionalism. That agency has been well known and respected as being one of the utmost professional agencies throughout the years. It's had its rough hurdles through the years. We had things involving previous chiefs and all, and so it's been difficult to build that back into a positive environment. But I think the legacy would be the level of professionalism. I think that we did well in performing as good as we did based on the circumstances. This from the stories. You can go back through, and one of the things that I've always liked to brag upon is the men and women of that department that, despite the hardships, despite the lack of funding, despite the number of manpower that we were allocated, those people continued to come to work and fight that fight. They continued to put everything in it that they had because they believe in what they're doing. And
they worked hard. There were, and you and I have discussed this many times. Just yesterday we did a story this year. The latest annual crime statistics report came out for Warner Robins. Really, we got it through an open records request. Violent crime overall was up in 2018. It was, I believe, the third time in 5 years that it rose overall in the city of Warner Robins. Property crime was down last year, so I don't want to paint everything in a broad brushstroke. But violent crime was up. You got to take into account population, right? Houston County and the city of Warner Robins has gotten much, much, much bigger. Has the department and its staffing levels kept pace with that?
Absolutely not. And that's, you were in our third administration for me being chief. I worked for 3 different mayors through this, and true administrations. And that's always been the fight. The fight is whether you need to raise taxes or whether you need to reallocate monies, however it is that you need to bring that about. You have to keep pace with the growth of this city. And this city has really, really grown. I think that we've put those numbers out a collective number of times. You're talking about 30-40% increase in populations and in square miles. And the number of calls is exponentially growing even beyond that. You're talking about these guys are answering 85,000 calls now.
A year.
A year.
Right.
A year. And we just haven't kept up with the growth, and even though we continue to come and say, we're going to need more people, here's the growth that we're doing, exponentially, the calls are increasing, this is what we're seeing. Whether it's falling on deaf ears or it's just the difficulties in managing budgets, allocation of monies, the unwillingness to raise the millage rate, whatever that reason motivating behind them not to keep up with it, has been extremely difficult.
And I hear, if I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds like you're hinting at the need to pay officers more.
Not just pay more, but also pay more attention. You know, they need to pay a lot of attention to what these officers are doing every day. You know, we listen to somebody come to counsel and complain and say that there was a dog in the middle of the road and nobody stopped. This officer drove past there and didn't stop to get this dog out of the road. And nobody asked the question, what call had he just come from and which call was he just going to? You know, nobody's paying attention to the officer that's dealing with a child drowning and headed to a sexual assault crime. And they're worried about the dog in the road. Nobody's asking the questions, what are these officers experiencing? You know, and we've tried to put that forward. We've developed a video that we put out, and you saw it through social media, of the different hardships that these officers were encountering, whether it was the child death in the bus, or the drownings, or the officer-involved shootings, backing up the officers here in Centerville. And that video was accumulation of hardships that these officers endured over one period of 1 year. And even to tighten it down more, that was one squad of 4. And so people aren't asking those questions, you know. And does it come down to money? Does a lot of things come down to money? Absolutely it does. You know, but does it also come down to what we're seeing now in the difference in millennials, and you hear these different name groups for the age, and people wanting to be appreciated. You know, the days of go stand in the corner and stand on your head and do what I tell you, those are just over. You can't lead with that management style anymore.
So you see it, I think we're both in agreement. I think everybody who, whenever this conversation happens, is in agreement that one way or another, the police department, for it to do its job as effectively as possible, needs to be at full staff.
It needs to be at full staff, and it needs to be actually staffed more.
Right, and Acting Chief Wagner has said that as well. But I just want to be, you know, crystal clear. You think that the starting pay needs to be increased, as well as more attention to be paid to these officers?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you have a number that you think would be more effective? Yeah.
Well, if you're going to compete with surrounding, you know, this is what you're seeing now. You know, it was always the how are we doing collectively in Houston County? We're competing with the sheriff's office, we compete with Centerville, or we're competing with the counties that are next to us. But look at the recruiting efforts that you're seeing in places like Dunwoody and some of the other metro places. It's huge. The amount of money that they're putting on the table to try to get people to respond is absolutely incredible. And I guess what's difficult sometimes to get people to understand is the big picture. Okay? If I'm able to recruit officers at $35,000 a year and they know coming in the door this is what they're going to be making, we're making them a lot of promises as well. We're telling them we're going to pay for your retirement. We're going to help you through, you know, with your medical and your insurance. And we're doing all these different things. And when that narrative is constantly changing, then it's hard to recruit, not knowing if the promises you're making is going to be coming true. Putting money on the table can get people in the door. There's no doubt about it. But putting money on the table will do more for your retention than it will for anything in the recruiting side. If the people know and understand that the job they're doing is being appreciated through not just the pat on the backs and not just the letters of appreciation, but also, thank you for doing a good job, here's your merit raise increase. Thank you for being here for 3 years, here's your longevity increase. Thank you for reaching that certification level. Thank you for obtaining your 2-year degree, your 4-year degree. Thank you for the military service that you brought into this department when you came here to begin with. All of those things go into building somebody who has a willingness to stay because of not just what's in it for them, but because of what they're doing is being appreciated.
And those are monetary thank yous in your mind?
They're very much monetary, and not just on the monetary side, but also the publicity. You know, I can go back to the people complaining because the dog's in the road and they have no idea what call this officer has already been on. If somebody would start to ask the question, what all are these officers facing? And what kind of hardships do they come to work for? I mean, the stories that we could go through to just give you a glimpse as to what they see on a daily basis, it would not be a good recruiting video.
Yeah.
You have to have a heart for this.